I am calling the meeting to order, and that's our cue right there, the recording. So welcome, everybody. And today is Wednesday, June 8th, and this is our regular monthly board meeting. So again, welcome. There are extra agendas up on the table next to the wall if anybody would like to get one. The first item on the agenda is public comment. This is a time for the town board to listen to anyone that would like to share with us. We ask that it be kept under 3 minutes to give everybody an opportunity. If you would be so kind as to stand up, state your name and where you live, we're here to listen. Is the podium available as well? So if you feel that you need the podium or we cannot hear any board members, we can certainly ask who's speaking to go to the podium. Because the acoustics in here are sometimes not well. So, all right, anybody have public comment? I'm so, I didn't hear you.
believe I'm doing this. I called, my name's John Bose. I run 310, next to where the Hudson Street. Solar farms. I have whole length of my property lines in this. I met Mary Ann's here last week. I gave her a call and she said, "No, can you write a letter?" I said, "No." She said, "We come to the meeting." And I said, "Okay." You know what? It's just in the scheme of things, it's pretty petty. Anyway, I just got to find my best friend who's has a really serious legacy, and it's not going to live very long. And this is pretty petty. And when I'm doing it, because I said I could do it. Received a letter 4 weeks ago from Mike McQuaid, informing 130 people or so the community solar farm that is going to be built on Justice Street. Basically 310, basically one property line. At first, George and I were shocked as where did this come from? Second, we were angry, very angry. And third, we were very disappointed. Very disappointed because this has been in the works for at least a year. The developers are everywhere. And farmers mainly been called. It's been going on. There's 7 projects that we are involved with, trying to figure it all out. We really passed some local laws to regulate solar facilities. It's too bad you couldn't pass the laws to say where they could be. Okay. And basically, we're disappointed because we know our fault or whatever. This is what happens. The developer comes in, figure out the closest place they can be so that they're supposed to electricity and what they need. They make the phone calls, they talk to property owners, they do the contracts, they get the land uses, they put it all together, they get it all figured out, they get the land the schemes, schematic, and do all that. And they come to the county and they say, "Here, approve this, please." Okay. So it's going to be tough on you because you don't know where it's coming from, you knew it was going to happen, you didn't know where. Okay. The land behind you, I know what's going to happen. It's a beautiful piece of property surrounded by residential area and agriculture. A chance for development, chance for residential development, chance for expansion from the village into the town, all those kinds of things. Increase the tax bill, do a lot of housing tax. So if you're going to really pick a place to do it, that really wouldn't do it. Okay. I don't think. The concerns are that it's unfortunate that it's there. Okay, number one. And I guess that when I put all that together, it's going to happen. I saw it. I got a couple of Mike giving you schematic of it. I got another one. It looks like they pushed everything up farther, up on the property. The solar panels are approximately going to be 300 feet from my house. The inverters and the equipment bed is about 400 feet from my house. I'm very lucky because I have a tree line, and if you want to see these trees, 7 months out of the year, I can go over and see Farmer Street. So this is very fun. It's not the end of the world. Do I want there? No. We own a net music solar system on our house, so I have nothing against solar at all. I think it's unfortunate that this is happening like this, and that, in all honesty, there's going to be so much solar power here. Everybody's going to be 100% alternative energy. Just what's happening. Doesn't matter. The grid systems give everybody energy. You know, whether the town, the village decides to aggregation or not, it's going to happen. Okay, if people can get a 10% discount on energy, assuming that the solar people can sign people up. Okay, you know, it's still going to cost us more money because the National Grid have to increase their lines, increase their capacity, and that kind of stuff. That's all on the side. Okay. I'm concerned about my property line. I'm concerned about security lighting. I'm concerned about the tree line. And the tree line. I don't know what the vehicles are going to be. What's going to happen there. I'm concerned about pesticides. I don't know what's going to happen. I got 50 questions to ask the developer. I'm hoping I get a chance to talk to the developer. I would love the developer to be able to walk my line with me and give me some assurances of what's going on. Okay, I know it's pretty petty, but you know, I know it's going to happen, and I have a lot more to say about it other than something I could talk about it. But it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that this is happening. This is like the California gold rush. And the community hasn't seen anything like this, and people are getting cold call. The developers can make a lot of money, the landowners can make a lot of money. The community is not getting much. The community is not going to increase your tax base. You're not going to reducing development tax dollars potentially for other kinds of economic development. It's a real shame that there wasn't a way to plan this better to be able to put these facilities in places that would be more logical. So that's my concern. Is, we're like, we're a lot of voices. Nobody else is honest. Around this but I'm concerned with the community and the way this is done. And that's, I've been in the financial services business for a long time. I know it's happening. This is coming through, and eventually, all this, it's going to be more expensive in the end, probably. But every electron that is not, oil, gas, it's not carbon. I'm being so story at the moment because I'm an Indian, so not my backyard. Okay. That's all I wanted to say. I know it's going to happen, and I'll deal with it. Just hoping that the developer has some kind of consideration for people that are living adjacent to all this, and we have a chance to be able to meet with them and things up. I don't know how they're doing. I'm sure we try to keep things same thing. I think there are questions like that.
Thanks, John. And we did have a lengthy conversation, and the planning board is the body that's responsible to review the projects. And I understand that there is a meeting coming up on this project that we'll be able to attend and express your concerns there as well. So
I will. We talk. I will gladly give the developer your number. And he did, you know. You can,
I mean, you know, what's gonna happen. And
no, you can't say that.
but it needs to happen, but not necessarily doesn't need to happen there. Oh, we're really thinking about it. If you could really make it choices, you have choices as to where they should be. Okay, then you probably wouldn't pick that piece of property, in all honesty, because it's beautiful, it's a beautiful piece of property. I mean, what a great place for expansion for the village into the town. And, I'm not the landlord, so I'm landowners. It's not my land. Landowners, okay, so.
Okay, Jim would like to say something.
Are you aware of that project there has come before the county planning board? And they turned it down.
Okay.
And the reason that they gave was one that you stated, it's timeline for development for the building. And the ingress and egress is off the village street. And another reason because they because it's on primary. And our solar law does state, you know, we didn't say that you cannot put these on that land. It's a waste of breath, but it seems that it is a waste of our breath. I don't know, Mike gave you this now, but there is what it looks like right now with potentials. And of 7 projects, they're all on, as far as I'm concerned, they're all on primary.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm a 310, Case Farm, that's sold, that's gone, across from the nursing home, that's gone. You know, so.
And right across from you,
That
land there, it's possible.
You
even
just don't
that.
tell me that.
Huh?
I'm gonna tell me that.
Well, and,
No, I understand, I know, I understand. That's the task of the. I am, okay. But yeah, of course it is. You know, so, but it's also beautiful land. It's all beautiful land. So that's important.
it's the issue here, it always comes down to, of course, money. And it's so easy to develop on wide open space. So easy. When there's all sorts of areas, right, where solar could be. I understand that, you know, you build a new home depot. It should be mandatory. That the roof for that home depot. This. Why not? And you realize parking, why can't they go split solar parking?
No, there's
parking.
There's billions of dollars, this is all venture capital. Okay, and there's lots of money in here, and behind the Soul America, who's our developer, are the owners. I have, you know, I mean, you know who they are, okay? But the incredible tax advantages, the return on the money is wonderful. Their marketing that they do is amazing. I mean, I've talked to pharmacists, they're getting called. Okay, so, and it's very lucrative, it's extremely lucrative. So we're getting sucked into this thing. We're like the tail's wagging the dog. And it just seems we need alternative energy. We need it. It doesn't need to be in some of these places that they're putting, just because it's more convenient for them when they come in. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Okay, is there any other public comment? All right, the next item on the agenda is county legislative representative updates. I don't see any of our representatives here. However, Kevin Akers did send an email earlier. I think it was kind of the same information as what he sent last month. But this is from Kevin Akers. So I'm unable to attend the meeting. I'll be in person at the town of Madrid meeting, which unfortunately meets at the same time as the town of Canton. I have enclosed a brief report. We have put an approved ARPA plan in place for the spending of St. Lawrence County, $20.9 million. We focused on a plan that emphasizes all projects to be beneficial countywide. Of particular interest to the town of Canton, we have set aside $3 million in funding for water and sewer projects. The St. Lawrence County Planning Department will be contacting all municipalities within the county to make them aware of the funding. I expect there will be an application and evaluation process to determine the most viable projects in need of funding. Certainly, the town of Canton's need for a new water line will be near the top. I mentioned in the past that St. Lawrence County is building 3 highway outposts located strategically in the town of Russell at our trash transfer station in Lisbon and in Potsdam on Route 11, which is located near the Paler packing plant. The cost of each outpost is close to $3 million. Our initial plan was to pay for one using our fund balance allocation and bond for the remainder. The plan now, subject to board approval, is to also pay cash for a second one. This will save St. Lawrence County taxpayers about $500,000 over 15 years in interest costs. Sincerely, Kevin Akers. So Heidi, you have a copy of that for the record. Okay. Approval of minutes. We do need to table the 5/11 22 minutes. They're not available at this time, but I do need a motion to approve the special board meeting minutes of May 10th. So, moved by Bob Sanamore. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by John Tyo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carry. Correspondence. We have 4 correspondence. The first one is from NYSERDA, and basically telling us all the state projects that have been approved for solar. That is online and available, and I'm sure everybody has heard about that in the news. So that was NYSERDA. The next one is from Alexia Lamb. She sent us an email regarding the Community Choice Aggregation Program and was wondering if the board would want her to come and give a presentation. As we know, the village has moved forward with the Jewel Community Power Program, and she was wondering if we would like to consider having her come and speak to us.
I think it's worth it.
You would like that?
I think it's worth it.
Everybody interested in having Alexia come and just give us a brief update? And I did give everybody a copy when I went to the sustainability fair. I did pick up all the information regarding the GMP program. Okay. In your packet was a report from Ag and Markets on the shelter inspection that passed with a satisfactory. And then we also received an official letter from the New York State Department of Transportation on the POP funds, pave our potholes. So that's later on the agenda to amend the budget for that. Okay, town finance reports. Hi, John.
Hi, thank you, Marianne. So you have the reports there. They cover 5 months of our fiscal year through May 31st, 2022. General Fund A, our revenues are under budget by about $345,000. Our expenses are under budget by $221,000, so we have a deficit to date of $124,000. On town outside B, our revenues $208,000 under budget. Expenses though are $317,000 under budget, so we have a surplus of $108,882. Our bag, no change. Miscellaneous special revenue, no change. Townwide highway DA, our revenue is $62 over budget. Our expenses are $387,000 under budget. So we have a surplus to date of $387,469. Parktown highway DB, our revenues are under budget by $691,000, but our expenses are under budget by $1,056,000. So we have a surplus to date of $365,000. Special fire, revenues right on budget, expenses are $44,000 under budget, so we have a surplus of $44,410 to date. Special lighting, our revenue is $6 over budget, our expenditures are $2,700 under budget, so we have a surplus of $2,747 to date. So townwide, our revenues are $1,244,000 under budget, our expenses are $2,029,000 under budget. So we have a surplus for 5 months of $784,600 636. On the very last page of the report are the cash balances. And you can see in the general fund cash, we have $168,000. Outside fund B, we have $425,000. Cemetery fund, 2,540. DA and DB fund cash, 1,611,000. Joint activity, 8,422. Trust and agency, $1,830. Then we have cash held for special purposes that technically does not belong to the town. We have the special fire and special lighting, $58,000. Revolving loan fund, $46,927. Our bank fund cash, $53,517. Solar escrow cash, $256,436. And American Rescue Act plan cash, $201,180. So total cash on hand held for special purposes, $616,366. Total cash, including all the other funds, $2.8 million as of May 31st.
Board members, any questions? I do want to just go on the record, the library trust, because we never really talked about this, but we are holding 2 CDs for the library. We've been holding them for many, many years. The total is about $33,000. And so what we do is collect the interest, and then at the end of the year, we give the library that interest. And they will be coming back to the board to discuss that again, about those CDs and the needs. And as far as the A account, that's a little bit lower because we did the status app. So I wanted to mention those 2 items. So thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
You want to do the clerks?
Town clerk, sure. So cash on hand in town clerk office is $2,185. Of that amount, we owe $51 to Ag and Markets. We owe $180 to Department of Health. We owe the town $1,510, and we owe the DEC $1,243. They're probably paid by now, but that was the status as of May 31st. If we look at the year-to-date numbers for activity in the clerk's office, we've taken in $3,665 for decals. Of that amount, we gave $111,000 to the town and $3,553 to the DEC. For other fees, we've taken in $1,022 for certified copies, $3,817 for building permits, $1,508 for dog licenses, $680 for marriage fees. So total income, $7,027 for 5 months. Of that amount, $405 is transferred to the Department of Health. Transfer to Ag and Markets, $247, and transfer to the town, $6,375.16. In the tax account, we've collected town and county taxes of $4.8 million, surcharges of $11,946, penalties $5,613, and second notice fees for $88. For total taxes collected of $4,857,263. And that money was transferred to the town and county. So we have nothing left in that fund at this point in time.
Heidi, did you want to add anything?
We wrote the checks out today and mailed them out for the month. You'll see there's a refund check that hasn't been cashed yet from about a month ago, so that's still sitting in there. And then there's $7 for an online payment. Again, somebody need a payment for something and it's not the correct amount, so we're waiting for the rest of that. So that's just sitting in there. And then for the taxes, we have our year-end checklist with the county, so we're just waiting here to make sure our stuff is good on our end before we write our signing check. Everybody.
Okay. Board members, any questions? All right, great. I need a motion to, never mind, that's the next item, sorry. All right, audit committee.
So, general fund A, the expenditure amount $47,957.82. Town outside, $37,295.48. Townwide highway, $20,711.08. Part Town Highway, 31,548.33. Special Fire, $3,958 even. Special Lighting, $263.28. And Trust and Agency, $20,364.25.
I need a motion to approve the expenditures.
You so. I was about to say, I saw you twitch.
Moved by John Tyler, is there a second? Second by Don Sandemoy. All in favor, please say aye. Aye, carried. All right. Thank you. Okay, department reports. Let's see. Lee's not able to be here. She was at conference. So, Cindy, would you like to go first? Sure.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First off, I'd like to know if anybody has any questions on my report. I love this timing, you know, it's done and we're gonna be finalizing the roll in another 2 weeks. And I'm waiting for the bar to come back with notarizing their determinations. And then I'll be going down to the county hopefully tomorrow and submitting all the determinations and all the changes. I was at the Assessors Association meeting today. We got some good news. There's gonna be a 2022 homeowner tax rebate credit. Yeah, Heidi.
Oh, you have something to pull up? Okay,
I gave this to her last minute. I just found out about it.
okay.
There's gonna be a rebate check for those homeowners. And if you are a basic star recipient or an enhanced star recipient, and depending upon your income and what school district you're in the this is for Canton, then that's the amount you'll be getting. But please note that the amount of your credit could be less than the amount shown below if your net school tax liability is less than the credit amount after taking into account your star benefit. So there might be a little bit of a difference. Some people have gotten their check. I don't know if you got your check. Oh, okay, so.
How much?
You got your check too? Okay.
It was more than $1.
So are you saying those are the amounts that homeowners are going to get on that top line?
That line
Spot on, actually.
above the town of Canton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I just.
And this
said.
is new.
Huh?
This is something new.
Yeah, this just came out. This will help, you know. tax-
You're wondering why you got the
tax
check?
rate. For the top rate tax bill, yeah. So, yeah, it just came out.
So why are we getting?
To help, you know, to help taxpayers pay, you know, their tax bills, or whoever needs their help. Like I said, it only goes up to 200,000. May go over that, and you know. Help. So,
Oh, okay.
that's why. So that was, maybe we just got this today, so we just found out, then there's some people that have gotten their checks already.
So it's checks in the mail, there's no direct
Checks in the
deposit.
mail.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
And it kind of looks like when you get your rebate from the New York State Department of Taxation and Finance and you file your tax return. So, you know, sealed up, you just have to tear off the preparations and. you know,
Oh, okay.
So, that's anyway, we're wrapping up things with the county and, they're sending down star reports that we have to go over, things that have to be corrected, and we're just going through the list right now and making the corrections for the final.
all right.
That's it. Any questions?
Any questions?
I'm gonna post this, in the town clerk's office on her bulletin. So she'll be, I'll be gone next week, and then the phones have started ringing. for this, so I didn't even know about it, so I got to the meeting, and I found out about it.
And you can also post it in the entryway.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, great. All right, thank you for all your work, Cindy.
Welcome.
All right, Heidi, would you like to go next?
Sure. I don't really have too much to add. We already went over my finances for the office. May was just busy with collecting taxes and just foot traffic with like building permit fees and all that. The issue I guess we have in there is still the online payments, people making payments online and making payments before they even know if we have documents, so it's a refund issue, or people paying for something and it's not even the right dollar amount like we have right now. I'm waiting, and I've already contacted this person 3 times, so it just becomes kind of an issue because then I can't balance out my books really. So that's the big issue right now. So it's still kind of going back and forth. I mean, you can still use a credit card is my thought, but the online part of it, because even on the website, it says, this, if you're gonna do this, it's this amount. But then I don't know what they're typing in, but it's not the right amount, so. It's really have too much more to add, but that's one of the issues we have right now. It's just that online payment. and
It's a quandary.
Yeah.
Okay. Board members, any questions of Heidi? All right, thank you, Heidi. Megan, would you like to go next? Hi.
A few updates, in-person payments and registrations for summer programs, they started this morning at 7 o'clock. We're having another session tomorrow at 5, and then another one Friday, from 11 to 1, trying to cover everybody. Our biggest program, obviously, is swimming lessons. We have over 90 signed up so far, so that's pretty good, especially since Tribs and Potsdam is open again. They were closed last year through COVID. Let's see. The lessons are gonna run the same as last year, where we're gonna do 4 weeks at the pool, and then the last week will be at Taylor Park, so the kids get used to dark water. Let's see here. Taylor Park was not able to be open for Memorial Day weekend, thanks to the storm on May 27th. But we were able to open last weekend, so we had good weather, a little windy, but it was warm, and we had some people get out there and rent kayaks and stuff like that, so it was good. We're coming up on about a week and a half of field trips, between Canton Central, Edwards and Knox, and somebody else. So we're gonna be busy out there during the day for some private rentals. And then, before week's end, I will be submitting a RFP for a youth sports and education grant through the St. Lawrence County Youth Bureau. Hopefully we get it. We're gonna hopefully use that to cover some expenses with some of the program. That's it. Anybody have any questions?
On that grant to the Youth Bureau, was that for specific populations? I thought I read something in the newspaper about the qualifications
This
of
one
the
is,
target population.
this one is specific to, well, the one that we kind of qualify for is like a lower income
Okay,
population. And it specifically is geared towards youth sports. And it can either be seasonal programs or year.
and how much are you submitting it for?
Trying to remember my quote. It was about 5,500. Okay. By the time I went through expenses, and we're trying to get them to cover our, because we take a hit this month, so we're trying to not take such a hit.
Okay,
But there was no maximum and there's no minimum, so you basically submit it and they kind of decide.
and do you know what the total allocation is for, like, have they
They
said,
haven't,
like, they have 100,000 to
Nope.
give out? They
haven't said.
They haven't
It's a
said that.
secret.
Secret.
I have a feeling they haven't gotten many because they were pretty excited when I told them I was putting in an application.
So maybe ask twice what you need.
Right.
Let's go with 10.
Go to 10,000
So,
and hopefully
we'll
it's.
see. But at least that'll be good. It'll help cover staffing. Because it takes a lot of lifeguards to do lessons. A lot of hours.
Have they changed their criteria where before, when we used to do it, we weren't allowed to charge for the program?
Yeah, I asked them that and they said it was fine to help cover us.
Because that was in.
Have we received this grant before?
No, this is a brand new one.
Okay.
They just came out with it.
But in the past, the town and village did apply for youth bureau funding. It was an annual allocation.
And
And,
switch that every 3 years.
and now, yeah, the allocation is a 3-year program and they only had like 100,000 to go out. We missed the deadline to apply. But I think we should still maybe apply in case someone else is not funded, so something to think about for the rest of it. All right, any other questions of Megan? All right, thank you, Megan, appreciate it. Stephen, would you like to go next?
Sure. We finished up spring cleanup from winter plowing this year, so we got all of that mess cleaned up. We did start in with our first round of roadside mowing. The roadside mower that was purchased last year is working really good. Trying something different there this year and having each plow driver do their own plow rail to try to learn what's on the shoulders when they push the banks back, that they know where the steep spots are, things like that, so. Doing that, we did get the cemeteries mowed in time for Memorial Day. Thank you, Megan, for helping us get lined
good
up with
weather.
the mower. Yeah, that was definitely, the rain has been a real factor in all that this year. We've got road construction underway with our projects, and Kevin Bird from the county is planning on starting to be Monday, June 20th. So if everything, weather permitting there, he doesn't get slowed down on other projects, that's when we're hoping to get going with that, which will help hopefully with the asphalt prices to get done before they escalate anymore. Yeah, I've had some high water issues in a few places. Irish on my road that's flooded out a couple more times with heavy rain, so we're trying to get a plan together to try to cure that for this year. Trying to move forward with Minor Street project. I spoke with Don Chambers at County Highway, and he said that they're so short-staffed that they wouldn't be able to help with that anyway, that they're actually hiring towns to help them with their work to try to get their stuff done this year. So I spoke with them about possibly trying to contract with them about doing the drainage work on the edges of things. He said he would recommend trying to get a private contractor. Did get all the quotes in Lorenzo Falls on the projects. With 7 projects that the mayor and I spoke about. I came up with a figure of $19,424.87 for fuel and labor. I told them that we would adjust that, accordingly. Obviously, you can't figure it down to penny. I would adjust labor, if somebody took a little less time or more time, I would adjust it and make it right. Fuel prices, I told them that when we did the project, whatever fuel was costing us at the time, as well as the gallons that we used, I would adjust that as well, to make it right. So we spoke this weekend, their projects were all through, so I'm sure that probably be getting in touch with the MOU at some point. And we got all of our plow trucks ready for some use. They're all sort of all ready to go. And I did reach out to NIPA. When Bob Washel and I spoke with a couple of gentlemen in March, they said that in June we will be trying to reach out to us on what they would do, as far as taking care of damaged roads. I haven't heard back from them yet, so I'm kind of up in the air right now. And other than that, I'd like to give the crew recognition for all the work that they've been doing. And going right at it pretty well, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Stephen. Any questions? Comments? Okay, thank you. Mike. Oh, surprised.
Just briefly, new permits for month 12. I'd like to know the one commercial accessory structure for the wind turbine for weather station for the Richmond project, which is going to be installed on Old DeKalb. I was on to that. We didn't get anything from that project itself. This house project. Issue 2 new occupancy certificates and compliant certificates in the month. Held a Zoom meeting with the Fair Housing Board. Going over the rent relief program and updating status of the eviction. Received solar array plan from Route 11 project, County Route 27 project, and Judson Street project. They have been all sent over to Barton and Judas for their review, as well as the county for their review. Other than that, it's just busy. Go.
All right. Question?
Just a quick question, Mike. Up on Route 11, I think it's just before the Stein Road, I think it is, or the Valley or something, just before DeKalb. There's been a camp, motorhome. Parks.
I go by it every day.
You're
I know
right.
where you mean.
Is that like abandoned? You know?
I would say it's. Yeah, I thought he was working for Michael's,
Right,
and he just drove it in there
and left it there.
and then just.
Yeah.
it was gone. I'll check it out.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You'll be back as soon as you. Usually parks right off the street or off the, just off the side.
He spends the summer in his car.
Couple times you get the car over there. Oh, you start parking on the side of the.
I'll check that out.
Thanks.
It's just, it's a summer.
All right, any other questions of Mike? All right, Linda.
I want to apologize for being so late. So did you get a chance to read it or not? You're not hearing me.
I can't hear you.
My talk there.
You don't have to, but I just have to like.
No, my report was extra late. I'm sorry about that.
You want to get closer to the microphone, please?
Jesus.
Did you just say Jesus?
Jesus.
Did she say Jesus?
I know.
Well, take the wheel.
So anyway, did you get a chance to read it? I think Jody was reading it. So, it was a busy month with, dedication to field. And I was disappointed because I was down there at 6, but it had been changed and I was not notified. So I was a little upset with that, but I watched it all, Dennis Barr, the whole video. So I got to see all the cool kids, the Briggs kids, so it's worth watching it for that hour. I mean, it was well done, but I was personally being there, but I'm thankful for he made it. Fraser made it, and I didn't make it. But anyway, that and the parade,
Tom, don't put that in your word.
I saw the swearing. I saw it sitting on the waiter. Anyway, I didn't, and we had a rain day. But anyway, you can see the video, it's not Dennis Barr. An enjoyable event. I have 2 things. Any questions for me? No? I have 2 nice things that, well, I want to mention that Frank White will be 104 June 15th. Redis Gazette is going to be 90. Bruce Merrill is 92 and Helen Penning is 90. And I tried to get Martha Stone to get a bundling force together to have them in a parade. I have to say, I didn't get any help. So, don't put that in the video. But also, I want to recognize Esther Gushie, 95, Redford Falls, who just passed away. She was the village clerk and the tax collector for years. And I got to meet her, and I mean, she loved her job as well as the president. So I just wanted to mention her. And I think probably almost 4 o'clock. Yeah. So this is something that, and I have a lot of things coming up for July. So it's just busy. Oh, and Richard, Sarah came in today with 80 postcards. written by the two Canton members back and forth. They were prolific from 1911 to 1950. You're gonna see one on Facebook tomorrow. And next, tomorrow I'm doing it, because I've been diligent on that, but I'm scanning the copy. So if you have no questions,
Okay, everybody good? All right, thank you, Linda. Let's just up there. All right, wait, I didn't miss anybody, did I? Yes, oh, okay. All right, I need a motion to accept department reports.
So
Moved by Bob Stanmore. Is there a second? Okay, by John Tyler. All in favor, say aye. Aye, carried. All right, committee reports.
I've got a couple. Economic development notes, and John, if you want to jump in if I miss something here, I'd greatly appreciate it. A couple of new businesses in the village of Canton, Riverside Market, Canton Tobacco Shop. The Main Street grant has awarded some funding for library ramp, and there's some windows going into the Canton Historical Society building. We're trying to look for locations for bike stations throughout the village, just for regular bikes, just to hang. And then the Willow Island project received an updated proposal. The Minor Street project, Tisdale and Associates completed the final drawings, drainage drawings. And we're going to discuss, I guess, LWRP later in the meeting, so we'll do that for that. Sustainability, we met last night here, actually. It was a first non-Zoom meeting, which was good. It was good. A few things here, community choice aggregation, their second session, as part of like Jules Electric. Their second session meeting is going to be 6/16 as a Zoom meeting. So they didn't give me a time. I don't know. Do you know what the time is?
I think it's 6.
6. All right.
Yeah.
And I bring that up because maybe it's something that we want to just jump on and just to get a sense of what to expect. Looking for a CFA grant for funding for community compost program. The sustainability committee's goal is actually to remove 100% of the food waste from like a solid type of organization to a community compost area. There's going to be a Court Street study to determine how to make it safer on Court Street for cyclists. Public transportation, that's back in full ridership. That was actually very good to hear. They are looking into EV buses as part of the transportation program as well. And there are 2 sunflower planting sessions going on in 2 different locations. One is at 3537 Riverside Drive. They're going to plant 200 sunflower plants. And then at Partridge Knoll, they're going to plant 150 plants. So, and that's going to be this week. So if you like planting stuff, there you go.
So will the public be able to help themselves to those sunflowers?
That I don't know the answer to.
Because that would be
I would
nice.
assume so.
I'm just
It's
saying.
going to be hard not to,
I know.
considering where they are. So no, don't touch those. I don't.
Okay, well, that's nice.
So, yeah. So,
You done?
Yep.
Anyone else?
Zoning. Monica reached out, we will get back to look on that, so about the first week of July. That would be Susan to get us to get the draft together for the zoning. Solar committee has met, we have a lot of communications, email, such. It's going to get very busy. Planning board is going to get some very good stuff. I don't think it's gonna go well. Highway, as Steve mentioned, we met with Tisdale and Washburn, Minor Street, and That's when we decided that we needed to go to Canton. As Steve said, kind of very workable home. Very well said. We, I spoke with the gentleman that we were financing the dual use purchase the loader with. That was approved previously by the board, but had the trustees got guys, so that we decided to get that. So the plan there is we will make we made $50,000 down payment. We will be making a $30,000 lease payment. This moment, it'll bring the balance down to 111, but we still have at that point all the weeks. So depending on how that goes. I think this is a 5-year deal, and we can pay it off. So I hope that I hope that interest to them. Sure.
The interest is like a little over 4%.
And there's still our conversation going on. Village with regard to styles that we joint reactor with now. People. I think Lee is supposed to get an RFP together before that. So. Negotiations. But it is, we spent, Marianne and I spent one whole day on it and didn't get anywhere and set up another meeting. And then the CSU negotiated kids. So we don't. It's been a very frustrating experience.
Yep, we've been trying since last March to get it done. So. And is the loader, did they mention that it's going to be here in
July.
In July?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
The salesman said hopefully first part of July, but let's say the end of July, so there's no disappointment.
so are we looking at trying to trade in the loader to the same company?
No,
So you're gonna put it out, like whatever that,
It's
it's an auction, it's an auction type of
we're
deal.
still discussing
Okay,
the route we're gonna go because now auction is most times that's absolute. It doesn't give you an opportunity to say no to what the auction may be. And so, and this is a piece of equipment that very, very low hours and should be pretty stupid value. When we first talked about what was Cap's offer?
The offer is 50,000 for it.
it's
50,000.
worth a lot more.
And
than
when
that.
we started talking, we were hoping that this would get us moving. And I wouldn't be surprised in today's market. So we only did 11,000 off.
The auction site that we used was in one, they did give you an option. to say no.
The auction site that used to be, okay, because
Yes, sir.
the ones that the town has used, the highway has used in the past, they want us to have some auction.
That was local, like New York State.
Yeah, it was based out of you, auction, yeah.
That uses the
The other thing that we were getting nervous about was when we saw was Village of the Sea. They got 2 trucks on order.
Yeah.
They approved the purchase of the trucks for now. And they've had 2 price increases on that. They're waiting, they're ready to get them, they're ready to pay for them. They're not available. And they've been increasing the prices that the city's not been happy about it, but you can say, the heck with this, we're not gonna keep doing this. And the company's gonna say, fine, we're not gonna have any problem selling them. But with the loader, Cat, that's one thing about Cat, no matter how long it takes to get it. First, that we read is 35 grand.
Is that?
They are bid through the whole, so it's.
They didn't have to build a loader.
Yeah.
They did have to build a
Yeah.
loader, and they're still looking at that.
Well, we did put 50,000 down. Thought that would help.
I think the only thing missing right now is the check for the heating seat.
Okay. Any other, you want to report on recreation?
Yep.
Okay.
And also, I have one brief item on their communications.
Okay, this one.
Heidi was in touch with our IT person. And found that for down here to help with our booster, correct? And it was only $125, so we spoke and we just authorized Heidi to go.
We're gonna get a booster down.
We were hoping it would have been by today.
Okay.
Recreation, that covered most of it. The thing I'm gonna add is, Mary Dalton is looking into the cost for the lifeguard first aid check for us. And that's where Abby and I, have a little, problem with where it's currently located. We'd like to see it, move to what we call a proper location for it. So we're going to talk to them about that as well. Then the only other item that we spent a lot of time on was actually number 7. So.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right, great. A lot of work going on. All right, old business, discussion of use of herbicides, under the 765 KV line. This was an item, Bill Myers, and he's back tonight, brought to our attention last month, and we agreed to put it on the agenda to have a discussion. And if we need to take any type of action. So, welcome back, Bill. If you recall, he had some other concerns, but I think the biggest one, Bill, was the spray.
Yeah, should I see?
Sure. Everybody.
Unless you have a gym voice, so you can just. do that.
I might.
We're okay with that too.
Yeah, my biggest concern was about the use of chemicals, particularly herbicides, because that's what the utility companies are using the most under the power lines. Like that. And just a refresher is that they're using herbicides. We know that in the past, there's been some real tragic stories related to the use of herbicides, including many of them being carcinogenic and causing cancers. And I listed off a bunch of the cancers they cause, like that, some of the possible blood disease. That's not it.
No, great. You got paid for it.
Just tell me alone. I guess I didn't want to put that.
So anyways, when I first moved here, National Grid and NICO were using glyphosate. When I met with them, and they were saying, "Oh, it's safe. Everybody, it's glyphosate. It's safe." Well, the fact is now glyphosate is not safe. Roundup is known to cause cancer, and it has a greater significance of cancers, particularly cancers like breast cancer, like that. So, if we can minimize the use of herbicides, that would be great. There are methods that they can use. Across the country, there's municipalities that have passed ordinances to essentially move towards a preference for organic or mechanical controls of vegetation. And so instead of just coming in and blanket spraying, they can do cutting, pruning, mowing, things like that. They can do planting of low growth indigenous plants. They can do a thing instead of a foliar spray, which is like giving the tree a shower in herbicide. They can actually cut that tree and then stump treat it with just a dab of herbicide. So that's what many communities have done, including communities in your state like Brooklyn, Geneva, Larchmont, Orangetown, Rockland, Piermont, not Piermont. And you can find a long list of communities across the country at nontoxiccommunities.com that have put something in their ordinances related to the limitation with limited use of herbicides, pesticides, and things like that. And it's worth noting that, let's see, in July of 2020, New York passed a bill banning the use of glyphosate, Roundup, on all state property. Almost signed the legislation in late 2020, and the bill was to take effect in 2021. So it is recognized. It's not like I'm coming here and making up something about Roundup, but certainly.
So one of the things that you mentioned yesterday, if you don't mind me bringing it up, was the swath, I guess I'll use that term.
Yeah.
The swath that they take when they go through the measures of getting rid of what they need to get rid of. And it seems to me that the width of the area may be much more than it needs to be, based on what was shared.
Yeah, actually, I have pictures on my phone that, people can take a look at. So under the power lines on my property, I can show you where there's nice green grass, like right where this, this line is. But then the whole width of this room has then been treated, even though, and you can see in the picture, there might only be 20 saplings that actually needed to be treated. They treated the whole thing. What I can show in the picture is that treatment actually happened last year. And the picture I just took a couple weeks ago, and everything's dead. It's just brown and brown. You go from absolutely green lush grass to this wide dead swath that is the whole, width, but then of course length of the power lines. Those are I think those are power lines that and that slope actually where I took the pictures at runs down to a wetland. And we have about 40 to 50 blue herons nesting down there that are eating the frogs and reptiles and things right out of that water. So to me, it's a great biodiversity. And getting into our watershed. It's into a watershed. So there's lots of places out there that have passed ordinances. I think a great place to start would be the town asking the utilities to use mechanical methods such as cut, mow, or cut and stump treat as opposed to foliar spray. That's what I've done on my property. They told me that they have it marked that way. So when the crews come through, they're not supposed to do the foliar spray.
Do they follow through though?
National Grid did last year.
That's a no.
National Grid did last year, but I could think one did last year, but there's been mixed results. But it's better than no compliance at all. And I think that's a great place to start.
Great, thank you, Bill. Discussion of the board.
I think the first thing we need to maybe do is look at that nontoxiccommunities.com just to see what's out there. Get a sense of what other communities have done in terms of ordinances that have been in place. I think it's going to be a pretty big undertaking to go against nitro, I would assume. That'll be our biggest challenge, I think.
I didn't hear your question.
We could. Consider a local ordinance on that. Or they think that, public goods.
So you volunteered to do that research? and
I'm happy
report
to do that, absolutely. Happy to do it.
Do we want Eric to draft a local law to start discussion?
So I guess this is on your. First, you own the property.
Yeah.
They have the right of way through your property,
Yes.
and they are maintaining that.
Yeah, they have to come through and cut things, no vegetation can get within, according to them, 40 feet of the power lines, especially the big ones, because it will jump. They actually said the big power outage of, what year was it, 2000 something? That was actually caused by a short from power lines to a tree, so they have to.
So what is, you say no vegetation can come within
40 feet.
of,
The big power lines.
The line
I'm
itself.
planting corn under the power, I'm planting corn under the power lines.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so that's what I mean, so where, I guess, why are they doing this on your property?
Because I don't have farmland. So I have
Brush.
brush.
Yeah.
I would like to have forest under there, but obviously it's wouldn't. So things like birch trees, pine tree, white pine, they go out, they kill every white pine, they go.
I understand that,
And
I know that they, but I don't understand the reasoning behind killing them. It doesn't make sense.
So that's kind of where I'm going with this, and I'm thinking not just in terms of NIPA and National Grid and all those folks. I'm thinking in terms of the developers who are building the solar farms. In terms of what they're gonna do, because they're gonna do the same thing at the end of the day. So,
yeah, they said they didn't use herbicides.
they don't use herbicides.
And that would be.
That was at the planning
that's the
board meeting.
preference.
Which is the preferable way to do it, right?
They encourage using,
Right.
around that.
Well, that's good to hear.
But I mean, this-
Mechanical is preferred, but it's more labor intensive.
Right.
That's why they would prefer not to do that. The easiest thing to do is, spray everything.
And is that aerial? Is that done aerial?
No. Once they walk in, guys in Tyvek suits with rubber gloves and stuff on and one spray the whole thing. Come in there with Tomcat like things.
I think it'd be easier to send a Lord to the.
So are we in agreement that we'll have Eric, for a couple of
I'll send you some stuff. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, the St. Lawrence County Hazard Mitigation Plan, as you, well, John and Bob, you weren't part of this, but the county had to update their hazard mitigation plan. We participated in it. And this went to the state, and they are concerned about the Pirates boat launch. They thought there was an actual boat launch out there, and there's not, so I clarified with that. Long story short, we can work with Greta and keep it in the plan and try to satisfy the state on what we want to do to mitigate that. It's about flooding there, or we can take it out of the plan altogether. And then just try to address it locally.
It's
So,
a matter of wording, Marion, because it's not a boat launch, it's a kayak.
is it a matter of wording?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I didn't talk to the state directly, Greta Day from Barton would do this. She's been contracted with the county to do this. I know Bob wanted to give, Bob Washington wanted to give her a call just to have further discussion. You went out and looked at it. Yeah, this boat launch has been a problem for years with the flooding, and highway has tried to rectify it. Putting more stuff out there, but it's environmental. So I need direction from the board if you want to keep it in the plan and that we try to reword it. The biggest thing is being part of this plan. If there are disasters, we'd be eligible for being funded. So we have three other things in there. One is to get a a generator for the highway department, and then there's another, well, you've all read it, there's another thing in here that the state approved. So I need direction from the board on what you would like to do. I mean, the easiest way would be to take it out and then we move forward, but we still need to address those issues out at the board.
So it's a matter of rewriting it. To make sure that the language includes what we needed to include. Is that, and that gives us that potential FEMA position if we needed it.
Mhm.
I think that, to me, that makes the most sense to do that.
Good for rating. All needs to happen.
Right.
Give that first shot.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work.
Right. Yeah.
Just. go through it.
Because I assume it has something to do with state of emergency.
Yes.
Right.
So I'm okay, so I will get a hold of Greta and have a conversation with the state and go from there. As far as the generator, I take that back. It's a generator to install a generator for this building. And upgrade the existing generator at Highway. That's one of them. And then complete a stormwater drainage improvement along Wilkinson Road. And then raise the elevation of the Irish Settlement Road to reduce flooding and washouts. So those are the four projects that we put in the plan. So I'd be glad to follow up with that and see what we do with that. Okay. All right, the follow-up on the broadband presentation. We all received, well, I received a revised proposal from John McAdoo. I forwarded it to the board. We had a presentation at the joint board meeting, and there were some recommendations from the committee. What was here? Was here. And John, you're here. So he did send a proposal for the next step. At the price of $15,000, spread over the term of 6 months. To do the laundry list, if you will, of what we talked about at the joint meeting. So. I don't know if any committee member would like to speak to it. I think we were pretty loud and clear at the joint meeting about we should keep moving forward. This was a joint venture between the town and village. The cost of the $4,000 for the original plan was the cost of the original plan was $4,000. Was what that cost. This is a $15,000 cost again. We use ARPA money to pay for the original because none of this has been budgeted. So
Send it to the board as well.
they send it to the village.
To the village board, I believe, as well.
It is.
Did you get it, Anna?
I got it. I guess I'm not clear.
Okay,
But you did for me.
I think I just sent it to the committee and then the
Yes.
town board.
I have the email here. It says the other board members are on that list.
Oh.
Pinch on, whatever you
Oh,
call them.
okay, then I guess I did.
Alright.
This was a while ago now.
I just want to make sure they're all right.
So I'm wondering what the board would like to do.
Well,
And we were going to also ask Eric.
that was my understanding. That was. We're gonna ask Eric to weigh in on this.
Mhm.
When there was a sequence of steps that were suggested in
I don't
addition
know
to
that I
this.
sent this to Eric.
That is looking at the legal problems, the legal potential problem. Secondly, was the RFPs possible to the existing vendors. And third was the consideration of the municipal method. This addresses a proposal to talk about plans for a municipal network. So we don't have a sense from either board on the RFPs as yet, nor do we have a sense from legal on the suggestion that John McAdoo made about looking at the
the contract possibilities or problems with existing vendors, what what the franchise agreement says, and what any tax implications would be.
Do you know if Jerry has reviewed the,
I do not. I mean, our board will meet next week, and I imagine that we will be having this discussion.
so I guess from my perspective is we need to send it. Talk to our legal guys about this. I mean, it's big. It's important, you know, the biggest question is, do we want to create a municipal? Yeah. Yeah. And,
Can I just say,
For answer right now.
no, we're not looking for an answer right now.
Yes, we are.
I thought you already had that. I assumed that our joint meeting that
Yeah.
note to the attorneys, but obviously it didn't.
I did not- I
That
did
was my
not.
understanding. Bit of a hiccup, yeah, sorry, but that's.
I'll take responsibility. I didn't send it to you.
It's entirely possible variance.
You're-
That's,
Did you want to?
you know, I mean, I guess I would just say, I think the committee's recommendation is not necessarily that we decide whether we want to have municipal broadband network at this time,
Mhm.
but more that we should do the things that Toby mentioned, including send out an RFP to address the uncertain. And that really the second piece is about investigating the feasibility and affordability and so forth of a network so that we can come to a conclusion between the municipalities about if that's feasible, if we want to, if we did, how it would work. You know, just to say, I don't know that anybody has landed on, well, we want this. I think it's more of a exploration of this is, you know, these are the questions we are faced with as we're looking into the future. Should we embark on, you know, some planning and some studies that will give us data on which to make the kind of decision as to whether that's a good idea or not. And then, of course, the other piece that Toby mentions about the RFP is really just about the immediate need of trying to get people connected who at this point do not have that access.
So I will, and Heidi, you'll help me remember. Eric will send you the vote proposal and then copy of the second one, and then we'll go from there. And then you'll have it on your village board agenda. All right, again, thank you to the committee for all that work.
Great, this is FYI. I have looked at this in the past. On these issue. So it's something that I can. At the time, it wasn't economic. This was. It just didn't make sense. Financial, but maybe now. in terms of our-
And what was that? State
Still a
funding?
long way from that in terms of costing and even the preliminary costing that we've looked at with John's help and with others. So that's why we said in our recommendations, which maybe you haven't seen either, is the fact that both are on the table to be looked at and we need to move on both. And that's the kind of direction we were hoping to get.
And that Connect All funding, I read an article that's already been approved and it's already been allocated to some municipality or something. So, yeah, okay. He's giving me that smile. All right, so I'll send that to Eric and then we'll go from there. All right. The LWRP application, the Grass River Recreation Assessment Feasibility and Strategic Plan. Again, we had this as part of our joint meeting, May 25th, I believe it was, and both boards requested additional information from Lee on, I believe, 2 items. And that was, what does it take to become a designated LWRP. And then if the village applies, would the town be encompassed in that application? It's my understanding that a few meetings have been held with the Economic Development Committee, and the village board met to discuss it the other day as well, that the town didn't opt in. And I think we all have a little better understanding of the process and what it takes to resubmit this application. And I did meet with Lee this morning and got my questions answered. But the rec committee, we had several questions at the time. Lee wasn't able to come in at that time to walk us through this. And so I'm opening it up for further discussion. I do have to add that if the town was the lead last year, right? We have to decide if the town wants to be the lead this year. The way the BOA grant, we have supported 2 village applications for village projects, the BOA grant. And that structure is that the town will take the lead, the village spend all the money, Lee puts in for reimbursement, the reimbursement comes into my revenue account, our revenue account, people's revenue account, and then I reimburse the village for that. And speaking with Lee, I believe we could do that again. It would be a lot easier to do that way. I did speak with the mayor this morning as well, and it's my understanding, and we have 2 board members here, that the village, it was unanimous that you would support the village moving forward, and that it would be a split of the amount of money between the town and village. So an MOU would have to be created, right? We have to pass a resolution. The biggest thing is, what's the application gonna say? We can't just blanketly vote on something that we haven't seen yet, and it hasn't been written yet. And Lee hasn't started that. So my feeling is that we really need to see something by our July meetings, even if it's a draft, because she doesn't have a solid, it hasn't been announced, the amount of money, right? Last application was $81,000. A portion of that is for in-kind services to be applied. And she mentioned it might cost each municipality $5,000. But to become an LWRP designated municipality, that's going to cost additional money. So my take is it could cost each municipality $10,000 cash, but then some of that can be used for in-kind. So again, this is a grant where there's a lot of layers. It is important.
Yeah, I think both of us have to be a part of that. I think that's really a critical piece of it. I think both town and village have to be part of this in order for it to be successful.
I'd like to see us going. However, Beth and I spoke the other day, I hope you don't mind me doing this. We feel a little strongly, and we haven't talked to Meg about it, but I think we're gonna get what, I'd like to see it driven by the recreation. Recreation grant, for our input, because when we were going through it, we were comfortable with.
It's my understanding that it's unfortunate that we couldn't be here, but this is what she said. It's the same project. You hire, you do an RFP for a firm to come in and do an assessment, right? It's the local waterfront. It's about the Grass River. But the goals are probably going to stay the same, but some of the meat to support those goals no longer exists. And that some of that data came from some of the plans that I talked about, at the joint meeting. What we really need to do is review all those plans and say, okay, what's going on and what have we done and what should we be focused on?
And this is all tied to the strategic plan, the community,
The
the
comprehensive plan,
comprehensive plan.
there's language in
So,
there, yeah.
You know, each thing is related to something as part of that comprehensive plan. So it does help in that respect where we've already got that groundwork. We don't have processes and procedures laid out, but we have something in writing that says this is what we want to do.
But some of it may be outdated.
Right, but I'm hoping this grant is gonna help us be able to
Right.
implement that.
Figure out what that is, right?
Right.
That's my understanding.
That's exactly the point, right? The comprehensive plan and some of these other plans that have been developed by previous boards and lots of community input have laid out goals and objectives with respect to, for example, recreation. So these projects, these grants, for example, the recreation assessment and study is really a, a deep dive into, okay, here's one of the community's goals as is laid out in the comprehensive plan. Now let's dig into, how to implement better recreation by doing these things, by doing the strategic plan. So that's really what the whole point of that piece is. And then the designation piece, as you mentioned, is separate. But
But isn't the
necessary.
designation part key
That's the
to
first part.
getting this grant?
Yeah.
So it is. So when we met with the Department of State after not receiving the rec study last year, as it was written last year, when we received when we did a debrief with the Department of State. And some of the, we learned we were actually pretty close to getting it. And it had to do with the type of grant and the fact that we didn't have points because we're not an LWRP designated community. And back in 2010 or 2011, when this community did not an LWRP, but a WRP, the state was discouraging people from going through the further steps, of getting the designation because. So but now we are at a place where we have federal funding and federal and state relationships. In order to access that money, which many of our projects come through, we are going to need to become designated. And that means that's a process of resolutions and, doing, we already have a waterfront overlay district. I mean, there's a bunch we've already done through some of our more recent, work. But it's going through this process of having our waterfront boundary designated. That then increases our points on all planning and implementation projects that we come through, that we apply for. And we were encouraged last year that if we were to put this project forward, again, with whatever meat the recreation committees and both boards feel is appropriate. If we were to put that forward, also applying for the designation would benefit the rec assessment application.
So I asked Lee about the timeline.
Yeah.
This application is due at the end of July.
And of July 29th.
Right. And in order to become the LWRP designation, there's got to be a budget.
Yes,
She's having Monica do the budget.
we have, she
Yeah.
requested that.
Yeah, so this is crunch time,
Mhm.
right? And, so my feeling is, I have no problem if the board supports being the town to sign off on this. But it's gonna be a lot of quick work. And to get it back to both boards, I believe Lee needs to be directed to make this a priority. Because I think at our July meetings, we need to see a draft of some sort. And we need to, I think, do those two resignation or designations. And so, here it is, the 8th.
I will just say, I will just say that the reason that as a member of the Economic Development Committee that, originally said, okay, we need to talk about this as municipalities, do we want to apply for this? Our goal in doing that was to provide the overall direction in terms of grant applications for this sort of grant season that we're in, right? And there's more coming that we don't even know, haven't been announced yet, right? So it was more of a, temperature check on the boards. Are we still interested in this goal? Are we also interested in the designation?
If so, she should write the, she should draft the applications. If not, that's not how she should spend her time. So I think that was kind of our impetus to bring this in June, and here we go.
So we've already done this once, right, so we already have some foundation here, correct?
Yes,
So we should be able to take what we've done, update it.
yes.
So it really shouldn't be it's a heavy lift, I get that, but it shouldn't be a crazy heavy lift. to do
It's
this.
not from scratch.
No, it's not from scratch, and I think that's key
And
too.
we were close last year, and I understand that there are. But I think that we can update those, and I think that I'm glad that there is clarification. I think that this has been clear that it's a priority because, this is the third time I've talked about this publicly in a week and 2 weeks, whatever it is. So I think that it's really important. I think that assessment will help Megan and her director position to understand our assets and, if we get this grant, then it will allow us to prioritize in a different way and enhance and elevate some of the other plans that we have. I think that it's critical, I think, to be able to use this tool to get further monies to help us implement what that plan is gonna help. I mean, that's the whole point, right? The assessment plan, come up with ideas, priorities, use that. And that's what people like to see, right? Is that evidence? And we have to have that. We're not gonna do it now.
It's a 5-year grant,
Yes.
right? So we apply, probably won't get notified till the end of the year. Lee doesn't even know if it'll be implemented in 23, because I talked about budget, right? And planning. So, we have an expert recreation director. We have an expert economic developer. To be honest with you, I think we have a waterfront advisory committee. We have 2 boards that know our town and know the values. This is gonna push us back another year or 2, right? I don't think we should wait. I think, the recreation committee should really delve in. Let's really look at the global and but-
I don't think, if I may, I don't think it's an either or. I think it's a go forward and.
I know, but what I'm saying is it's gonna take time, write the grant, see if this approved, and then start the process. And Lee said it might not even happen in 23. I'm just saying, we know our town and that we can really,
But
You
if
know.
we are gonna come up with a 5 or 10-year plan, I think if we need this, we can go forward with what we can go forward with, as we see over the next couple of years, as it takes time to implement this assessment.
Yeah.
But then once we have that assessment, then we can really think bigger and more globally and try to get, monies for bigger projects that we aren't going to be able to fund with just taxpayer.
I understand what you're saying, Beth, but I think we already know. We already know what's needed and, our waterfront advisory committee is an excellent committee. And,
And I'm
we have
not,
a 30-year veteran here.
I'm not
um,
disrespecting
yeah.
anybody in terms of what
Yeah.
our local expertise is. But in this process, and if we can get most of it paid for through this grant, if that's gonna help us get bigger monies. So we can do bigger things, like, we can come up with all the ideas that, that we can and get exciting big ideas. But I feel like this is a step for the actually pay to implement for them. Like, are we gonna use taxpayers' monies to do an engineering assessment out of the million? Like, that would be one thing that we could potentially do, so that we can see what that asset is, what we need to do to fix it to make it bigger and better. If that is something that is a priority, that the community feels they wanna do,
Right, because even with
right? And that's just one
so-called
thing.
30 years experience, I couldn't tell you where to start.
Right, so
Good.
we need consultants, we need experts
Yeah.
to help us. And I'm not saying that we couldn't prioritize, we can come up with all kinds of great ideas, and we have a really amazing reimagining committee, who came up with a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of that documented, a lot of, it costs a ton of money to
It
do
does.
that stuff.
Yeah.
So this is the next step, so that we can give ourselves a tool, so we can go after bigger money to actually implement what is documented
by experts to use as a tool again. So that's, I appreciate you allowing me to speak.
Okay, does the board want to move forward with the town being the sponsor?
I would say yes.
Will us being the sponsor mean what?
Well, we're the lead, which the town of Canton would be, I would be signing, it would be a town of Canton grant. Providing that there's an MOU in place where the village is the same MOU I brought from the BOA
Okay,
that we signed.
I'm
It's the
comfortable
same
with that.
structure.
yeah, I'm comfortable with that.
I'm okay with it. You okay, Jim? All right. Providing that we get something for our July meeting, you know, because I personally, I'm only one of five, cannot vote on something I don't see.
Well, our
So-
board absolutely will be looking at the same graph y'all are, so.
All right, well,
Well,
again, Lee
I
hasn't
really
started
feel
yet.
strongly that the rec committee should be involved in addressing the parts of that existing one that we're not comfortable with. And I think our director needs to be involved as well, because we need her input.
And I think that there's a commitment there where we can be on a basis to meet 2 or 3 times. in the next-
If we have to, we should.
We will.
I feel strongly about that.
Okay, let's see what happens. All right, thank you. All right, next item on the agenda, and Heidi, could you please pull it up? This is the 2022 budget amendment for the POP highway funds in the amount of $50,892.12. We did get the official letter, so we need to amend the budget to include that. I need a motion to.
So,
Okay, is that the? Let's see. yes, that one, okay. There. And can you just hand that to John? Okay, so, who motioned it? Jim Smith motioned, and you seconded it. Any further discussion?
I just have one, I think, edit on the last, now therefore be it resolved. Where it says the town board of the town of Canton may approve. I think that may needs to be a shall approve instead of may.
Well, we'd have to vote on that if there,
I get that, but that's what I'm saying, make an edit change on that and then vote on the edit change. Is that, I think that should be a shall. shouldn't it?
shall approve additional cost to be covered by, from the highway fund balance. I don't know.
Because may makes it optional.
It does, because there would be an option if you wanted to use highway fund balance for additional road construction. So this is the same language we had on the other, on the paving north and the EWR money. I don't know, what do you think, Jim? Should that say shall or may approve additional costs? Yeah,
How about your mod? Your mod. Your mod is-
hereby approved. All right, so is there, okay, so, everybody good with that adjustment? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Carry it. Okay. New business. Heidi, could you pull up that resolution? Algonquin Power LLC for the Old DeKalb Road. I need approval by formal resolution to set up the escrow account. Moved by Bob Sandamore, second by Jim Smith. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. We've already received the money and I've already started that. The next thing, we need to set up public hearing for posting of roads. Eric did send a local law. And it's for the regulation of town roads in the town of Canton. This was a result of our highway superintendent's concerns about the conditions of our roads and authority to close the roads. Whereby a company can't just come in and shut down one of our roads without permission from the highway superintendent, which that did happen, a little while ago. So what does the board think about this?
Let him come with the requests of the highway superintendent. He's an elected official all his own, so. That's what he thinks is. I have. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I have read this, got one question. Since, There's, whatever entity of any kind, so on, without the express written consent of the town highway superintendent. And he's running into a little situation. There was last time where, if it says that, and an entity has gotten written permission from a highway superintendent to pay highway, is that valid? If that highway superintendent changes because of one? Is that paperwork still valid for them, or do they have to get the written consent of the current highway superintendent? So in this case here, there was one that was being used that had no date or anything else on it, being used by an entity that Calvin had signed, or it was back in August a year ago or something, and current highway superintendent wasn't even aware that it was signed there. This guy's reading this piece of paper and says, you know, he said, you signed this. And he's going, well, I didn't sign that. I was, that's not me. And so is that something, that needs to be, if there's a change of leadership or whatever it may be of the highway superintendent? Are they responsible for being them updated?
Well, we could add current to the language.
Well, is this your language or is this state language? Oh, this is your language.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I didn't know if this was something that is right out of state law with regard to posting the road. You got to find out. Okay. So,
We would need a far easier language about the base of that.
and
So I can add that, I can add current.
Mhm. That would make sense to me.
yes,
Right, just so it's clear. And I think the argument would be, well, where you have a paper signed by this guy who's now a civilian. Right, I think I could easily make that argument. Not that I was, we could do that, but I think to make it clear. You might just do that. Our current public records.
The only question I had there is, vehicles are prohibited on certain streets, should that say certain roads? And then is there, so we talked about two things, the weight on the roads, is it 4,000 pounds? Or is that gonna be something separate? We talked about this and the, posting of the roads for the weight.
It's an excess of 4 months away from the current.
Okay.
And, I use that based on example like it's seen elsewhere. There's a variety of different weight limits tolerated in different townships across the state. I think 4 tons would be, if that was not the right number. Steve, or Jim, something to let you know. I just throw it out for the purposes of discussion. Right?
What do our roads usually take or can handle?
4 would be fine.
I think so. Well, my pickup
It's not
was,
very heavy.
my pickup was 80.
Right.
So that's, I know the limit is going back and forth.
Oh, it's right there, okay.
Can it be set to where, given the road conditions in the time of year, it could be
Well, I can,
based upon.
we can do it by order on an annual basis for certain roads if you want to restrict on certain roads. But again, you guys tell me what you want. I thought we wanted something more generic. So if we can get big trucks running roads without a little bit more control.
Well, and does it include agricultural? Because that's gonna be a big difference. I mean, what is your semi-way?
You know, roads 80,000.
Right. So, that's, I think that needs to be considered in there as well.
But, I'm a lot of, and I always thought on the posting that came to, like, tractor trailer going in pickup. Right. Because my understanding is the road is posted, that vehicle is supposed to be in there. Way as least amount as they possibly can and come out, knowing that that road is posted. So you don't go load that trailer to 75,000 pounds and then go in there and all that you can pick up. There's 5,000 pounds in there to pick up. That's, and I'd say they're in violation of the limit because that's not the way that you.
There is an exclusion in there that nothing should be construed to prevent delivery. Right, the idea is you don't want through traffic, of significant weight using the roads that weren't designed.
If they have distance to get there, but trying to take it as a shortcut.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, I'll use the perfect example, right by my house. They go down Molly Potsdam Road, Greenwood goes right down Molly Potsdam Road. I'm not picking on Greenwood because everybody does it, but I just remember that. And they've got the big, 10-wheelers full of silage. And I know that weighs more than 4 tons. So. Full of gravel.
All right, so as the board, are we good with the language as written? We have to set a public hearing date.
But we could set it for 5 tons.
You want to set it 5?
Yeah, I set it for 5. Yeah.
Okay. So, our next meeting is July 13th. Is that the date we want to have a public hearing at 5:50? Everybody good with that?
Motion.
Motion by
Second.
Jim, second by John. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. All right, Eric, thank you for the work on that. Appreciate it. The next item is the 2023 budget calendar. You all have a copy of it. It's subject to change, but this is what we got to do. We have to adopt a budget by November 18th. So I will be getting packets out to the departments and we'll start that process once again. And pretty proud of the town for the last 4 budgets. We presented a balanced budget with the help of Gray and Gray. Really appreciate all that. And we've done well. So get your seatbelts on because it's coming. There are board work sessions on August. We're gonna have a preliminary discussion at our August meeting and then 2 board work sessions. Okay? All right, so good luck to all of us on that. All right, the next item is the standard workday and reporting resolution for elected and appointed officials. Board, you did get that resolution. We need to pass it tonight. We have 3 employees, Heidi Smith, Stephen Smith, and Robert Sandamore, that are part of the retirement system. We had to collect data on time served, time accrued. And so legally, what we have to do is pass this resolution according to the formula, so that they will get the credit in their retirement system. So once the board passes that, we'll go online and submit it. And then we have to post it for 30 days. I need a motion to approve that resolution. Okay, moved by John. Second by Jim. All in favor, say aye. Aye, carried. All right, the next item, proposed amendment to Canton Central School District Cooperative Agreement. I'm going to table that for now. Number 6, Village of Rensselaer Falls project request, MOU of the Town Highway Department. As Stephen mentioned, we have 7 projects. So, it was a total 9,000 something, Stephen. So the next step is the total is 19,425.87. The village board at Rensselaer Falls has approved it according to the mayor. The next step is I will create an MOU. So I need a motion that we approve this. Moved by Jim Smith, second by Bob Sanamore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, carried. The MOU will be signed by myself, the Rensselaer Falls mayor, and Stephen. The draft joint town village recreation community-based proposals policy, we're gonna table that because there have been some changes and we'll bring that back. And basically what it is, and John, you can help me out, is if a constituent wants to do a recreation project, there's gonna be a process now. They'll put in a proposal to the recreation director, and it will come to the recreation committee for further consideration. Because we can't have individuals just going and doing what they want within the village and town without a process. And especially if there's funding involved, right? So we've worked hard on language for the recreational piece. We'll bring that back for the next meeting. I think we're in pretty close shape to having that done. It defines the role of the recreation director, the role of the recreation advisory group, and then the role of the recreation committee, the joint committee. And then it provides a process. So it's a good thing that we're going to be presenting. So our next rec committee meeting is at the end of the month, and John's bringing pizza again.
No, somebody else is bringing.
Oh, okay. All right, so we're in good shape with this, so that's a good thing. The next item is the New York State Department of Transportation. 2 years ago, we signed an agreement. It's an emergency shared services agreement that's due to expire the 23rd of this month, and we need a motion to continue this for another 2 or 4 years. And we went with 2 years last year. And basically, if there's an emergency, that will work with the Department of Transportation or Highway Department will work with them and go from there. So we need a motion to approve that agreement. For the second? Second by Jim Smith. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Carried. Okay. Public comment. We're here to listen. Is there any public comment? All right, great. I do need to go into executive session for the following items: current litigation, negotiations, and proposed lease of real property. I need a motion. All in favor, say. Did you say you motion?
I will.
All right. All in favor, say aye. All right. All right, everybody. Night. All right, good night. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Thanks, John.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Good night.
John.
Good night.